Is that recording? Okay, great. Great. Alrighty, so yeah. Well, greetings and salutations, holy pipe guys and gals, pipe pals and gals. Holy smoking pipe Padre! Coming back at you on a winter evening. And the housekeeping. Uh-oh. What's happened there? There we go. Old Sherlock Holmes. Now, the reason why I'm smoking old Sherlock here is because he looks an awful lot like a winter pipe, you know, kind of a wintry pipe with all the white. Yeah. And I'm using my 360 camera right over there. Take a little pan around the room there. It's my new Insta 360 camera. And so I'm using that and my regular iPhone. And of course, on a winter's night, I think W.O. Larson fits the bill. Yes, sir. W.O. Larson. On a winter's night, March the 3rd, Friday, March the 3rd. And it is definitely a wintry night. Now, it's 26 degrees, which isn't that bad outside. But we just got through, literally, going through the blizzard of 2023. That's no exaggeration. The blizzard of 2023. So, and we got more snow tomorrow and Sunday and a little bit on Monday. So, March comes in like a lion and goes out like a kitty cat. Yeah. So this year has been absolutely a true winter year up here at the lake. And my first 3 years here, I kind of got off kind of easy. And but winter has really shown up this year. This could be without a doubt one of the biggest winters in history. Yeah. So that's something to think about. I'm going to show you some B-roll here. We took off some of the snow off the roof, and boy, did it need it. When you see the accumulation on some of the roofs in the neighborhood that I walk around every day, they're 5 and maybe getting close to 6, 7 feet deep on the roof. That's a lot of snow. That's a lot of snow, Pipe Pals. So, it's a sobering reminder that Mother Nature can kick your butt. At my elbow here, my other elbow, got one elbow here and one elbow here with some kind of wintry coffee, I guess. Well, it's not coffee because I'm not drinking coffee. It's Lent. That's right. I'm drinking some herbal decaffeinated pomegranate tea with a little bit of stevia. Yeah. It's really nice. It's quite delicious. And I don't know how it's going to pair with the W.O. Larson, but let me taste. See if we take a little sip here. It's still kind of infusing. Oh my gosh! Not that. You would think that tea and this tobacco wouldn't go together, but surprisingly, not bad. So I thought I would go ahead and try to do my March video now, and just kind of welcome you all to what, spring? Talk about that in a minute. Yeah, talk a little bit more about spring in a minute here. Oh my goodness, it's just been. Let's see, it's almost 8:30. I normally don't even make a video this late. I usually. And in the background, I hooked up my. It's actually pretty good, even though it's just a little bit dried out. This is really good. What was I going to say? Oh, I'm listening to the radio station here in the background. And what I did, it's funny. A lot of the stuff that I have, we'll go in. I'm not going to go into a tech rant tonight. I really am not. But I still have the original HomePods, and I think they're still great. And now Apple secretly re-released them in the quote-unquote HomePod 2, which has a temperature sensor in it, and maybe one other little gizmo or something that I don't know. Something that's kind of minuscule, yeah. So, and they kind of reduced the tweeters and some of the woofers and some of the microphones, and they're still selling it for about the same price. So I'm not gonna complain. But when I moved up here 3 years ago, I just had a whole bunch of just work to do. I still got a whole bunch of work to do. Come on now. Don't. His little calabash kind of gets all cattywampus if you hold it wrong. So I got to be more careful. So they didn't set up a lot of my stuff. All my electronic stuff that I had in the other place. As much as I really found the HomePods and those digital light bulbs that are, you can change colors and everything. And although when I had it set up, it took a while, but it was kind of magical because I had some ambient light in the other room, the other living room back in Chico, and I could play the light bulbs with these new, I don't know if they even have them, I'm sure they still do, they got to. But you could mimic nature light patterns like storms or cloudy weather or lightning storms. And it was pretty cool. But it just took time to set it all up. And I just don't have a lot of time. I mean, let's see, what was I doing just today? Yeah. Okay, so I have the HomePods, and one of them is in the living room, and the other one is in the kitchen. I'm sure a lot of you are just bored out of your gourd with this video, but oh well. It is what it is, folks. And you can set them up as stereo pairs. And I really haven't done a whole lot to do the home automation thing this time, because like I said, I just didn't have a whole lot of time to do that. So I decided that that today I'm going to try and just do a stereo pair of the older HomePods and see if it works still. And anyway, long story short, I had to reset one, and so it recognized the stereo pair thing, and it took me probably about an hour at least to get that to work. So as much as I love technology in some ways, there's always a price to pay. Yeah, it can do some really cool things, but you've got to spend a lot of time figuring it out if you're an old person like me. So anyway, I got the HomePods in stereo mode right now, and it has a fuller sound. I gotta say, it's the one by themselves is really good, but two in stereo mode is pretty impressive. Really clean sound. When I usually make my videos, since it is in the evening, a little bit earlier, and they have the jazz, I listen to a thing called KXPR, Capital Public Radio in Sacramento. In fact, they broadcast from my old university. And so they have jazz in the evening until about 11, and then they go back to classical. And, I appreciate that. I like it. I'm surprised. This is not bad at all, even though it's kind of dry. Now, it could be that I'm smoking it in a meerschaum. That might have something to do with it. That's really good. The acidity in the tea really complements the sweetness of the tobacco. In fact, it's kind of a little bit more flavorful. Okay, so let's see what else is going on here. I don't have any burning issues or burning topics to talk about tonight. I mean, it is Lent, and things kind of, in some ways, with the exception of the weather, that's all everybody's been talking about lately is just the weather. And I think did I roll that little video of the guys taking the snow off the roof? I'll do that now. Okay, hopefully maybe I haven't done that yet. If I did, forgive me. You get to see it all over again. Okay. And that day, it was yesterday they came, and it was just one of those gorgeous days. And I'll show you the guys clearing the roof, and then I think the camera wheels around and shows you Lake Tahoe, and it looks like a big bowl of glass, blue glass. It's just gorgeous. I mean, I really got lucky that day. So anyway, so one of the things that I am endeavoring to do is try to get more creative in making videos. And there's so many YouTubers out there that I really like to watch, and they have just interesting lives. And I really appreciate their contributions. A lot of YouTubers that I watch are mostly photograph, videography, and software related kind of programs that I'm kind of intrigued with, and I'm learning new things. I wonder if I can pull this up just a wee bit more. Does that work? Okay. Let's see here. Can I turn that down just a wee bit? That might be just a little bit too much. That's okay. So I like learning new things, and especially in photography and film editing. And but there's this one guy that I watch. He's called Trout and Coffee, and he's a younger guy. And him and his girlfriend, they're kind of like new age hip. No, not new age. That's kind of passe too. They're like, I guess, modern day. Hippie might be a little too much of a, not really accurate, but they're just kind of wanting to live off the. Well, they're not living off the land. They're not really homesteading, but the guy, he's built a little cabin in the woods in, I think, Vermont. I think is it Vermont? New Hampshire, maybe? I don't know. New England. I'll just say New England. In New England, I can say that because that's usually what he's talking about. Is his life in New England, and he's really poetic. I think he does his own music. He writes his own scripts. Certainly does all of his drone photography and other photography. And so instead of just sitting around and just talking about things, he kind of does a pictorial kind of a presentation where he talks about, and he shows you, like he's getting firewood, or he's putting in a sink, or he's shoveling snow off his roof and all that stuff. And he does it in a really poetic, I think, really picturesque way. Has some really beautiful photography. And so, I'm kind of like going, boy, I'd like to be able to do that kind of storytelling, That would be kind of fun. And, let's see, is this pipe going out again? So, so to learn more the craft of video editing and photography is something that I'm just interested in. I think, again, being able to tell stories or kind of share experiences is something that I really like doing. Now, we are in the holy season of Lent, and so not to get too far afield, I would just say that as a recommendation to some of you all that might be interested, and I'll try to put the little thumbnail or the channel. Excuse me. It's almost 9 o'clock. It's almost past my bedtime. Us northern gnomes are, want to pretty much go to sleep early, and oh boy. And then tomorrow's first Saturday, so got to get up early tomorrow. So, but anyway, I digress. So, one of the things about Lent that I do like and I look forward to is kind of simplifying things. Now, one guy, another padre, I'm not going to mention his name, and I have nothing against him. So it's not like me trying to talk smack or anything. And it's not the pipe padre. He's a nice guy. I like him. This is another guy. He's not related to the YouTube pipe community. He's just a regular padre, and he posts videos from time to time. And he's a younger guy, and he's quite good. But he said, maybe he was just talking rhetorically, I don't know, but he says, yeah, for some people Lent can be kind of an inconvenience. It's a nuisance. And maybe, hold on a second, I got to clear my ears. Okay. He was talking about Lent and how some people look at it, and and I don't want to go into my little Lenten homily here that I've been kind of I recycle it probably every week now because I kind of say the same thing, but I just kind of change it up a little bit. But essentially, Lent is a time to simplify your life in one regard. That's kind of what it's about. The fasting and the abstinence are kind of designed to, hey, if you're fasting and you're kind of staying away from certain, especially treat foods and fast foods and all that stuff, it can kind of simplify your life if you let it. Now it may not be the most exciting thing in the world, be nice to have a big, delicious pizza, I guess that kind of, well, look at my 360 camera right there, and I just know that it's probably going to go out here pretty soon, so that's why I'm just mostly talking on this one anyway. So, but there's something to be said for a simple soup and a little bit of salad, and maybe if you do bread or something, I'm trying to stay away from that bread. I'm doing pretty good so far. It's only been, 10 days in Lent, so I'm doing pretty good. Actually, I am, because, sometimes you give up all the other things and what's left but, a little bit of rice and bread and a salad, and I mean, well, what do you do, So this year will be a challenge for me because I usually go about halfway through Lent and I get weak kneed. Somebody brings me some bread or some kind of bread product, and I kind of go, I really don't eat that, but I'll say, well, thank you anyway, and then I try to find somebody I can give it to, but then I don't, like right now, people are kind of bermed in with the snow, so, trying to re-gift it and give it to somebody that could really enjoy it, and it just sits there for a couple of days, and it talks to me, This loaf of bread talks to me, and then I gotta get weak-kneed, and I say, oh, to heck with it, and I start eating bread. So I'm hoping that this year will be the first year in a long time that I just pretty much just don't do that. Been a couple of years where I have been steadfast and I don't give in to my bread cravings because it's just not good for me. I put on way too much weight, way too fast with bread and starches. I know that, so I have to be mindful of that. But again, you simplify your life with Lent, and you're supposed to be focusing on other things like prayer and fasting and almsgiving, and those things are designed not to be like an endurance challenge, but to maybe give your mind a little bit of a break from some of the distractions that we all have from time to time, especially in our fast-paced, chaotic world. And so, I've always been one who has really enjoyed the Lenten season for that reason. It if you let it, it can simplify your life, and that's a good thing. This isn't going out again. I think it's kind of a pretty deep well there. So I wanted to recommend a YouTube channel, because I found it really fascinating. And so it's praying the Rosary all in Latin. Now, I know the Our Father in Latin, and I know part of the Hail Mary, but there's a whole bunch of other little prayers that go with this. And this woman's voice, I think she sounds like an Italian lady, and she just has this beautiful voice. And they have just a little bit of, kind of like Gregorian chant in the background. And by golly, it's a real quieting, peaceful, prayerful thing. So I'll put the little flash screen from their channel on mine right now. Maybe you're seeing it. I think it's called something Journey, Deeper Journey, or Journey Deeper, something like that. YouTube channel, and they have a whole collection of different, maybe I think praying the Rosary and other Catholic traditional prayers, but in Latin. And sometimes those things don't work because the people that are saying the Latin are just, they're kind of like me. I can say certain things in Latin, but it doesn't sound good. But this girl's voice is just really just beautiful and sweet and lyrical, and without being overdone, and it's just really a pleasant thing to listen to. So if you wanted to listen to something when you're going to bed, I would recommend checking that little YouTube channel out. Yes, sir. Little Lenten freebie there for y'all. Okay. Yeah, tea, this pomegranate tea and the pipe go really well. And I remember probably about 10, 12 years ago, in another Lenten time, but this is before I gave up coffee, I've been giving up coffee now. This is like my 7th year coffee and caffeine, giving it up for like the last 7 years. But I've always been kind of intrigued of the intermittent fasting, and like the Eat Like a Bear program, still on that. Been doing that for a little over a month now. And basically that's all about, that one meal a day, and that's it. You cut yourself off completely. No snacking, no second little meals, nothing. And I'm here to tell you, it does work. I'm surprised. But again, so it's okay, you have to kind of build in that that discipline to, get into the fasting. But once you do, then in consistency, that is the one thing that I would say applies to whether it's physical fitness or your spiritual life. Find something that works and then be consistent at doing that. That's what wins the day. It's when you kind of jump from one thing to another, to another, to another, and that's where you get into trouble, or that's where you don't really see results. But if you are consistent with one thing, then do that one thing and just be faithful to it. I'm just really looking forward to one of my little Lenten reflections. I'm not trying to preach at you, but one of my little Lenten reflections is about the fact that even though I'm looking at literally 12, 13-foot wall of snow right outside my door, the snow is now up on the balcony. It's up at the level of the balcony. And it's not like that in real life. It's like 10 feet smaller than that, And so even though I'm looking at winter, and this has been, without a doubt, a true Sierra winter, I know, based upon, history, that spring is right behind that wall of snow. On my walks, I'm hearing these little chickadee-type birds. I forgot, I was talking to somebody, he called them a certain name, but there's a certain they look like a little puffball. They're about the same size as a little puffball. And they're just adorable, and they just, have this little cute little tweet, the real tweet, not Twitter tweet, but the real thing, the real deal. And you hear them every day on your walk, but you start hearing more and more and more of them. Today I noticed that there's not just one or two, there's like a little neighborhood of birds that have moved in. Now they probably feel like, hey, how come somebody didn't tell us that the winter was still here? It's supposed to be springtime now, And but you have to believe in the spring that's there. You just can't see it yet. And so that's the little Lenten message that I'm kind of picking up on this year. And I think it ties in with life in general. sometimes the dark winter can be pretty scary. And if you let it, it can petrify you. And I'm speaking from personal experience, because when I look at my roofs and the neighborhood roofs, and I go, I don't know how much more snow these buildings can take. And that's why I had the guys come out yesterday and start clearing a lot of it off. It's funny because this morning when I saw what they did, it kind of reminded me of a messy teenager who throws their clothes on the floor. They don't pick up their clothes. They don't fold their clothes. They don't put them on hangers. They just throw them all over the floor. And that's what the messy snow looks like coming off the roof. But I'd rather have it on the ground than on the roof. Mammoth Lakes, which is about 150 miles down we're kind of the central Sierras, and I think Mammoth Lakes is closer to southern Sierras. And those poor people, I mean, we've gotten dumped on. There's no doubt about that. But those people have gotten buried. So anyway, make of that what you will, is all I'll say about that. Let's see here. Well, I got 30 minutes in. Like I said, I don't have any really burning issues, any burning desires tonight, except my meerschaum here. I was going to say I guess that's a calabash there. He's got a little calabash. Can you see his little calabash there? He's got a little calabash. So I'm kind of smoking Sherlock's, kind of vicariously through this little pipe here. So I'm kind of smoking a calabash, yeah. Let's see here. So I think I told you I got the new 360 camera. That's right over there. It's the Instas 360. It's the newest one that they make. And I was taking some early pictures of that. Maybe I'll show you some of that real quick, just the B-roll. And the color out of the box is just stunning, I think. Beautiful. And when we get those sunny days in winter, which are kind of few and far between, the days are just spectacular. And the colors, oh my gosh, the colors, the blues are so blue, the whites are so white. You just can't beat it. So I just thought I'd try to get on here, make one of my little monthly videos. I know I've made a few extra ones lately. So just trying to stay active. I've been doing pretty good on my exercising every day. I've been consistent on that. Doing better. And I'm feeling better in many, many ways. So the guy that kind of really motivated me about 10, 12 years ago was a guy named Mark Sisson. And he's a decathlon champion, and he was a runner in his earlier years. And so anyway, he, being a smart guy that he is, started doing a lot of reading about, biology and human anatomy and how the body works. And, he decided that, the way he was trying to be an athlete, the things that he was doing when he wasn't actually training and doing contests was, he realized that his body was falling apart when he was like 25, 26, 27. Anyway, so he started studying and started reading and learning as much as he could. And, he kind of came up with this whole thing called the Primal Blueprint. And essentially it's supposed to be, it's kind of this new ancestor kind of way of looking at, how people, basically, found nutrition in their lives. What's the optimal thing for a human being to eat, And I remember about 12 years ago, when I got into all this, there were so many different new kind of fangled diets out there. Some were gimmicks. Some, I think, had some good science behind them. Some were just goofy. I'm talking about you, Freely Banana Girl. But I think when I've kind of sifted through and kind of done my own experimentation of one, I think that a lot of the things that Mark Sisson talks about and puts into daily practice, I think is the right way to go. So he kind of does the 1 meal a day, maybe 2 meals a day. And so I remember seeing him, like I said, about 10, 12 years ago, and he was like 58 then. And I think now he's in his 70s. You can see that he's aged, obviously, there's no doubt about it. But he's still very fit. For a man of his years, he's extremely fit. And he's very active. He still runs, he still works out. He's not doing competitive things. I don't think he's not in competitions anymore. But for the most part, he's well, and in some ways he's kind of a person that lives. He lives what he preaches, and that's one thing that I respect about him. But anyway, he's one of these fitness gurus, and he proves, I think, that there are some things that work and some things that just don't work. And so anyway, I kind of, he used to write a blog, I don't know if he does it anymore, called Mark's Daily Apple, and he'll talk about different health issues, but he really gets into the science and the biology, and sometimes it's like, you feel like you're reading a science textbook or something. I mean, it's all good stuff, but so anyway. But the bottom line is that I think the secret, really is the two things. Is one for me, not for you. I'm not giving medical advice here. I'm not a physician. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying for me, I know that insulin needs to be really kept low. So if you eat 1 meal a day, literally 1 meal a day, no snacking, no drinking sodas and things like that in the interim, you give your body a chance to get that insulin to a kind of a normal pace, a normal level, and it kind of stays normal and level throughout the day and throughout the night. So you eat 1 meal, you eat a healthy meal, and then your insulin will go up to obviously compensate for that meal, and then it goes back down. And I think that I'm seeing more and more every day that as long as I'm consistent, Now again, being a padre, there are a lot of little pitfalls that that are part of the vocation. And sometimes people love to bring you little treats, and oh man, and sometimes they're just they're very irresistible. But even then, about 10, 12 years ago, and if I'd stayed probably in my other parish in Elk Grove, I probably would not have had some of the ups and downs that I've had. Now, yeah, that's probably safe to say, but you can't stay in one place your whole time. You have to move around. So anyway. And every place that I've gone has been really good. So everything to some extent actually gets a little bit better. You know, every assignment, you know, certainly has its challenges, but by and large, you know, I'd say, well, I enjoyed my time in Elk Grove, I enjoyed my time in Chico, and I really loved my time here. So, you know, I'm trying to make the most of it. But when it comes to the health and fitness, sometimes when you get out of your routine, or you have to establish a new routine, you have to find a new place to walk safely every day. You have to figure out, okay, where's the store and what kind of stores can I go and, you know, shop at that are going to have some of the things that I really need to stay on this track. And so you find those things, but you have to reestablish, and it just takes time to get into a new routine in a new location. And sometimes you'll go through a little bit of backsliding there, as we say as a good old Southern Baptist. And you know, you kind of make some mistakes. You know, yeah, you're moving your stuff, you know, 200 miles away to your new place. And, you know, you're tired and you're hungry. And so, yeah, you stop and get a Big Mac or a big cheeseburger at some local hamburger stand, you know, and kind of like go, well, you know, I'm not supposed to really eat this kind of stuff anymore, and I don't, but I'm hungry and there's nothing else to do, you know. So, you know, it does take a toll, and but again, it's that consistency, and then just not doing the things that are bad for you, you know. Do the things that are good for you. Don't do the things that are bad for you. Best wisdom I think one of the best wise things I've ever heard. Living it can be sometimes easy and yet sometimes very challenging. So like I was saying earlier, you know, you get people bringing you a lot of stuff, and they want to give you, you know, their homemade goodies, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're too good. And but I remember one of the little tricks that I had learned, and if I had had been a little bit in Elk Grove a little bit longer, probably another 6 months to a year to really put this into practice. And that is, you know, and it's an art. This is an art. You know, some of these health gurus say, oh, you can eat anything you want as long as you have a calorie deficit, you know. And maybe that works for them. Apparently, looks like it works for a lot of them, and that works. That's good. And they'll say, oh, you know, calorie is a calorie, protein's protein. You can know. You know, again, I beg to differ, but I won't go into that now. But when it comes to those challenging times, when somebody wants to give you some food that you normally don't eat and you really shouldn't eat, for me, again, some people can handle different kinds of foods, and it's just not a problem for them. And I think, well, God bless you. God has blessed you, okay? But when you get to a point where you know that for me to eat this thing, one, in and of itself is not good. And if I overeat this thing, it's really not good. And the thing is that a lot of times it sets up this kind of this addictive thing where I had a little bit, now I want more, you know. And you say, well, you know, kind of messed up my diet, so I might as well just give in and just go hog wild, you know. And we had this lady in our church down there. Her name was Monica, and she was also into health and fitness, and I think she and I were about the same age. And she was just a beautiful lady. I mean, man, but she was an athlete. And so she knew that I was just, you know, I just lost this weight, and I was kind of trying to do maintenance. And so we went out to a birthday celebration for our pastor at the time. And everything was fine. You know, we could order a la carte, and I could get what I wanted. She could get what she wanted, and everybody else could get what they wanted, and everything was fine until the birthday cheese cakes, yes, I said cakes, showed up. So I'll never forget, this lady just kind of like, she put her hand on my arm there, and she goes, don't get nervous, don't panic, you're going to get through this. And she goes, just watch what I do. She goes, I do this all the time now. And so she said, we'll get a piece of each. And I'm going, oh, that's way too much. She goes, just trust me. And I said, okay. She's kind of like a coach, you know. So she says, okay, so there was like 2 different types, and the plate came, so what we did was we started this little thing. She took a bite of one, she took a bite of the other, and then just passed the plates around. She goes, now you do that. And I thought, I don't want to do that. I want the whole thing. And she goes, just try it. Just try it. And sure enough, it satisfied the sweet tooth, but I didn't overindulge in it. And I had this little model of, okay, this is how you can kind of deal with these things and still be apart without being apart. Because sometimes when you're on a diet or you have special dietary requirements, it can kind of separate you. And that makes you feel uncomfortable, makes other people feel uncomfortable. But, just that, I just thought, I never saw that before. I just thought, that's fascinating. She literally just took her little fork, took a bite. She goes, now you take a bite of this one. I go, okay. Now let's take a bite of this one. Okay, now pass the plates. And that was it. We were done. Dessert done. And I thought, well, and I tried that maybe a week or 2 after that. But then, how human nature is, and kind of you fall back into the same old habits. And I'm guilty of that. So anyway, I just thought that was just an interesting thing. And again, like I said, 2 things for me that spell success are keeping the insulin low, to spike it once a day, and be consistent in your exercise and your diet, and you'll see the results. You won't see them overnight, but within a few weeks, you will see noticeable results. And if you just stay on that little train, and ride that train as far as you can, and I know I did that actually. When I look back on all the times I've successfully got fit, it was always those kinds of things. There was the fasting, there was the saying no to the starches and the sugars, and there was that consistency. Now, unfortunately, for me, I'm kind of one of these people that it's all or nothing. So yeah, I probably would lose the weight pretty quickly. But unfortunately, when I got off that regime, I would always rebound and always come back. As we all know, that's kind of the sad story of weight loss and weight gain and quote unquote traditional dieting. So I didn't mean to make this into a health and fitness video. But anyway, I just think that sometimes, going back and looking at your past success can set you up for a new success, And in many ways, now Lent is not necessarily about self-improvement. Sometimes I think I might have actually looked at it that way, because when you reintroduce discipline into your life and you start experiencing the dividends of discipline, then yeah, it's exciting, and it can kind of really propel you to do more. Okay, so, and that's kind of you have to be careful you don't overdo it. But anyway, consistency and being mindful of the insulin issue, for me, seems to be the key that has always unlocked that door to health and success, as far as getting fit and all that, and feeling better. Well, okay, I think I've exhausted that topic. I may have beaten another dead horse here. So let me get this little feller going, just little chimney going here one more time. So I hope you're doing well wherever you're at. I hope that the weather is temperate and you're able to endure it or enjoy it, or both. So until next time, this is old Holy Smokin' Pie Padre from the frozen tundra saying, light up your world and light up your pipe and enjoy. We'll see you next time.